It's in this moment that Jod realizes, if I go through with this, I'm no better than Anakin. Hello my dear friends, I hope you're all having an amazing day. So this is a video I really felt I had to make. I've taken a good look at what fans have been saying about this episode. How it was shocking Jod became such a villain, how he's probably going to kill the parents in the next episode, how he's become everything we didn't expect. This was the episode that was supposed to be the start of his redemption. We assumed that after he killed Brutus, he was going to reunite with the kids, everything was going to be hunky-dory, but instead, almost everything took a turn for the dark. Jod did kill Brutus, but then he took the kids captive. Fern unclaimsied her way back to Captain, they kicked him off the ship, he managed to find his way on board again, and then had an epic meltdown, a true childish tantrum, lashed out at the children, concocted a plan pretending to be a Republic emissary, and is now threatening to kill their parents, or the gruesome way he worded it, carve them up. My goodness. So, at face value when you're watching all of this, as I mentioned in my full episode breakdown, we're thinking, what in the criff just happened? Surely now there is no redemption for Jod. Well, in this video guys, I want to give you a different perspective. While there is no doubt, Jod's actions are unforgivable and shocking, there's a lens by which we should watch the episode, a perspective I think fans are missing, that truly explains and reframes the entire thing. And in addition, do you guys remember when Jude Law said, episode 7 is where you find out his backstory, and we didn't? Well, according to this theory, we kind of did, and we all missed it. We had to read between the lines. So with that context out the way, let's dive straight into it. Throughout the season so far, while Jod's full origin story is an unknown, there have been a few hints sprinkled in here and there, and what is evident is that he's used his position as a pirate, as a smuggler, just to get by. Once upon a time though, he was someone else. Someone who was maybe a Jedi Padawan, or someone who was related to one, who has basic force abilities, but can't really wield a lightsaber too well. But it's never explained who taught him, why he has the force, and why he knows certain Jedi philosophies. The distance between us and the key is an illusion. And then there was the Qui-Gon quote, your focus determines your reality. But what I've noticed, even in spite of Jod's sudden turn, is that he tries his best to keep his guard up. He's almost always on edge, and always looking out for his own skin. He's a pirate. But, underneath that, there is a softer side. And in light of episode 7, fans are now saying, well, all of that was fake. He's not genuine. The conversation he had with Wim, the times he's seemingly been a friend, those were all just a front. I don't think so, guys. I think Jod has a rough side because of circumstance, but I don't think deep down he's as awful as episode 7 made him look. Something which I've not seen too many folks mention is the one event from episode 7 that set Jod off, that triggered something deep within him. Can you guess what it was? The parents' holocom message to their children, telling them how much they love them and miss them. Jod was jealous. He never got to experience loving parents. He would have been separated from them at such a young age. He never knew loving parents, nor did he know a normal childhood where he was cherished and loved. And so in this moment, it's pure jealousy. That's what really sets off his anger. It's kind of like a Willy Wonka situation, but also reminds me of Reva from the Kenobi show. I know, she was a very disliked character, but their stories are quite similar, products of post-Order 66 circumstance. Reva wanted to lash out at Luke, a kid who had everything that she didn't, got to live a childhood that was unlike anything she or Jod had ever experienced. After Order 66, younglings that survived and somehow escaped the Empire and becoming Inquisitors were still very scarred. They were alone, they had nothing and no one, they had no parents, they had to fend for themselves, which I think is Jod's situation. And just like Reva, I think last minute, Jod is going to back down, have a change of heart. Episode 7 then cuts, but I think that's the perfect opportunity for Jod to have a PTSD flashback, and he realizes if he does this, if he goes through with it, if he kills the children's parents, he's no better than Anakin. Because what you need to realize, my dear friends, is that I think trauma is driving Jod. Did you notice, when he was giving his maniacal speech to the kids, his specific choice of words were projections of how he felt inside, once upon a time? Seeing the children in the corner curled up, defenseless, afraid, might have reminded him of a position he was once in, if of course he was a Jedi youngling who escaped. Because look at the choice of words. These are things he felt about himself, or maybe words that were spoken directly to him. They were his own insecurities coming out and being exposed. And the reason for his anger towards his parents is he feels as though his were never there for him. They gave him over to the Jedi religion, and then when that fell apart, he was abandoned. So it's not just evil in his words, it's fear. And remember what Yoda said, fear is a path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads exactly to what Jod is feeling, suffering. And notice how he singles out Wim and says you're the worst one, not because he's annoying, but because he represents a former version of Jod, a hopeful, wide-eyed kid who wants to save the galaxy, wants to become a Jedi, and is still innocent. Look at the choice of words and the pain behind Jod's eyes. Poor boy. And then he looks over at Fern and the others and says, What? What? What are you going to do about it? What are you actually going to do? This is how Jod felt when faced with Order 66. Because think about it, everything he was promised, everyone he grew up around, was taken from him, and there was nothing he could do. He probably has years of built-up anger, pain, reliving that moment. And so when he's stressed out, when he's faced with the stress of everything he's been through in the last few episodes, it comes out in a moment where he sees himself in a position he was once in. And just like the horrible cycle of bullying, as the bully himself in this situation, he thought it might bring some catharsis to be on the other side of it. But like I said, I really don't think he's going to kill the kids and their parents. I don't think that's the way they're going to end this show. But if it is a kind of redemption, he needs to have that flashback. He needs to have that moment where he realizes, I've become the very thing I hated, the thing that took everything about a life of security I once lived. It's why he calls the kids spoiled and sheltered. There were also some other hints in earlier episodes that he really is just a hurting child inside. In episode 3, when escaping the New Republic, he says, I'm just like you. I'm lost. I'm alone. I know he's been dubious, but that was probably the most truthful thing Jod has ever said in this entire show. So given this framing, I don't think he's a Sith, he's the worst person in the galaxy or anything like that. I just think he's hungry. He's so sick of being desperate. Jod is so frustrated because these children represent everything he never had as a kid. They get to go home to families who love them, they have all the food they want, they don't know hunger, they don't know poverty, and so Jod basically wants a piece of that cake. He wants the Old Republic mint, so that eventually he never has to go back to the life of a pirate. So as you can see, there's another dimension to this. I don't really know how things are going to play out, but that's where my head is at the moment. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.